Woohoo, we're back, Diney. Another week at our happy place.
Yeah, we are. Isn't that great? I love it when you say that. It really is our happy place. Talking to people, that's a gift.
Yeah,
and
it is.
if that can be your career, I think you've just won the lottery.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, here we are at this stage of our life doing, as we sort of say, do what you love what you do.
That's us to a T.
And it's just great getting all the feedback. And so everyone, please keep on writing in, keep on DM us with all the different messages that we've got. We've had a lot of great feedback, especially from that event we had a few weeks ago, which was just wonderful.
Huge response, yeah.
And then sometimes you're in such a high, and then how do you come down from it? And I was thinking sometimes you need to meditate. Do you ever do that much, Dani?
Yes, I do, but I need to chat to someone. I need to chat to someone how I can enhance that and sort of expand on it, because I find I have the intention for the quiet, and then, of course, the gremlins from the mind, sort of waft over my quiet time. And so today we're going to unpack that. Do you want to...
Look, I think that's the thing, because it's amazing how many thoughts come into your brain, I don't know, every second. There's just so many that sort of come through. So, I think so. I think, we've got sort of someone very special, and we're certainly excited. And I think, Dani, I'll let you lead the way.
Well, today we're actually honoured to welcome a very special guest, Davidji, who actually Nicola met quite a few years ago was that in Los Angeles? I actually met David. I met you 10 years ago at the Hay House I Can Do It convention, Denver, Colorado, and it was funny. I was with my daughter, and it's funny. I sent her a photo. She's riding from you're a New Yorker, I think, originally, and she's in New York as we speak. And I said, guess who I'm chatting to? I said, Davidji, and I've got a photo of us. And then she actually said, wow. It's a photo of me next to you, David, lining up to speak to you. And she said, manifestation in action. So it's like 10 years on.
10 years on, going,
amazing.
wow, here I am, you're a guest on our podcast.
So what was the technique that you used? What was the technique that you used to stay totally the same after 10 years later? What's the special youth serum that you've been taking?
I love that.
Hey, you remember
a millisecond.
I love that.
It's funny.
But
I'll put that photo up. That's great. But you keep on reading.
I actually love full circle stories.
I know,
is beautiful.
it is. So it's, you know what, sometimes it is meant to be. And I loved it straight away with her reaction, because she said, oh my gosh, she said, and she's a journalist now, and she would have been 21 then. And, and she's saying, David is fantastic.
Well, for those that don't know David.
Who is he, Jay?
He's a globally recognised meditation teacher, stress management expert, and author of several best-selling books, including Secrets of Meditation, Destressify, I love that name, and Sacred Powers, and many more. He's spent over a decade as the lead educator at the Chopra Centre, where he helped shape the modern meditation movement alongside Deepak Chopra. Since then, he's taught hundreds of thousands of people how to tap into something we all need in this world today, stillness, and break old habits and awaken their most powerful, authentic selves. So actually, David, I was just telling him he had beautiful blue eyes, but
he does.
You're also known for your soothing voice, his practical wisdom, and of course his signature phrase, ripple it outward. I love that. I love it.
Love it.
Davidji's beloved guide in the world of mindfulness and personal transformation, and a guru to many famous people. Well, we're not going to mention who. We'll just put that in the back burner. David, welcome to our little studio in Aussie land.
Welcome to our back fence, Davidji, all the way from the US of
honored
A.
to be hanging out with you at your back fence. Yes.
Well, you know what, from 10 years ago when I first met you, just for our listeners who may not know who you are, I think, most Aussies do, but, there's some who aren't into meditating or don't know. Can you tell us a little bit about you and how it all sort of kind of started for you?
Yeah, sure. I started meditating in college. It was an experimental Asian studies course. And there were 12 of us. We would sit in a circle. Our Zen master would stand in the corner. We were instructed to raise our hand when we had a thought. And you guys were just mentioning having thoughts. There's lots of thoughts. We have 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts.
Wow.
And so we were instructed to raise our hand, right? Imagine that. That's one thought every 1.2 seconds. They're coming. They're coming. So we were instructed when we had a thought in meditation, we would raise our hand. And our Zen master, in his hand, he carried an 18-inch bamboo stick known as a keisaku. And he would come over and actually hit us on the back with that stick. So we would, to create that association between thoughts, bad. But I dropped that course after like 3 weeks because I didn't want to be hit. I loved the meditation part. I just left there and started candle gazing and doing other stuff. And then over the years, I explored different types of meditations, mindfulness and mantra and tantra and chocolate tasting meditation. Still one of my favorites.
Wow.
That's
right. Actually, I haven't tried that one.
No, I've never even heard of it.
You did a cacao ceremony.
I did a cacao ceremony, but
I'd like to do chocolate.
Cacao ceremonies are a lot more serious than chocolate tasting meditations. So this you can do anytime, anywhere. Just take any piece of chocolate. Obviously, if it's a really fine piece of chocolate, that makes it even better. And just pop it in your mouth, and then you just close your eyes and just allow it to go through all the changes, all the different aromas and flavor changes, and it'll ultimately liquefy. And then suddenly you realize, oh, it's been like 10 minutes. And that was like a beautiful thing. And I wasn't thinking about how many thoughts I had or anything else. So
wow. Can I just actually ask you, is that actually still a thing? Chocolate, is that still a thing, this chocolate meditation?
I still do it. So it's a thing. It's a thing in my world.
Dentists would now it's a thing. Dentists would love it because they're going to line up with cavities and stuff.
It is. Thank you, David. But look, I think for those that don't know of you, can you just sort of try and elaborate a little further with the story around you being a bond trader, moving into meditation? Because I find that fascinating, because there's so many people right now in careers who are so frustrated, who are levitating, who are so unhappy, but don't know how to make that change. Can you just elaborate a little bit around that one for us?
Right. Well, first of all, I want to say you can do this stuff and weave it into your corporate life without having to blow up your world.
Love that.
That's not the path I took. The path I took was, so I continued to meditate, and then I sort of got involved in the corporate world, and I sort of let it slip away. My morning meditation got traded in for an early morning train ride to the World Trade Center. My evening meditation got traded in for a nice glass of scotch, and like that, it was gone. But also what was gone was balance in my life. And in the wake of 9/11, I was walking in Lower Manhattan past a row of cardboard boxes that people were living in. And this hand reached out from a box and pulled me right in. There was this guy, we were like inches away from each other's face. He had these magnificent blue crystalline eyes. And he said to me, "What's going to be on your tombstone?" And it felt, I call these butterfly moments. It felt like, I don't know if he was just some guy in a box, or was it God speaking to me, or did it ever really happen, kind of thing. But it felt like hours. And actually, it was probably just a minute. But he released me, and tears were streaming down my face, and my heart was palpitating, and my knees were weak, and I staggered like 20 feet and then sat down on the steps of an apartment building and then just sobbed. And it was like, how could I have that response? What is going to be on my tombstone? Why am I here? What's the meaning of all this? So I came home that night, said to my wife, this weird thing just happened. And she said, "You need to quit your job. You need to go to Oxford, England. This guy, Deepak Chopra, is having a meditation retreat, and maybe you could carve that out." And I'm fairly obedient. So I said, okay, I'm on my way. And I signed up for it, headed there. After like day 3, we were meditating for like 8 hours a day. After day 3, I suddenly had this feeling that I hadn't had in a decade. And it was joy. I actually felt joy. And I was like, oh my God, I sort of, it's like Robert Plant. Does anyone remember laughter? Suddenly I was like, joy. oh my God, what a concept. How could I have been living joyless?
That makes me want to cry.
I know.
That is so deep.
Wow, that's such a huge thing of what happened. And I also got to say, and what a lovely wife, partner for her to be so supportive to you, because not so many, I'm thinking, partners would straight away go, you've had that experience, we'll just go and quit and do something like that. But you know what I was thinking? I think that's such a great...
I get what you're saying, but I'm also thinking at the same time, was David right for the plucking? In other words, you know, if you want to buy a white car, you see white cars everywhere. I'm wondering if his wife your wife recognized that, oh my God, you need something else. This will be it. And also, do you think when you're walking along that street, you were ready for change, or that things had come to a head versus my everyday life and I saw this guy?
And
you
post 9/11.
You are such a freaking genius. I can't take it. Okay? Yes, I believe in this concept that transformation can only occur when you have this divine convergence of message, messenger, and timing. That window of receptivity, right? Because you could have two of those three things and it's not going to happen. But in that moment, clearly I was in that receptive space.
Good point, Di.
For whatever reason that was. And I think that's so important, even when people pick up meditation. And they go, oh, it didn't work for me. Well, maybe it wasn't the right kind of meditation. Maybe it wasn't the right voice. Maybe you just aren't really open to it right now. You're busy doing something else. So I think, you hit it on the head. I think that window of receptivity, that timing is so important, because there are times where I've been teaching and I'm the right messenger, and the message that I'm saying is the one that's going to be the aha moment. And just as I say it, the person in front of me looks at their phone and says, oh, my niece just had a baby. Oh my God. And they're not even listening to anything that happened. So they missed that window closed. It was open there, but so I think all three of those things have to be in place, and you can't force any of them.
No. Wow. Universal timing. And tell us about that experience and how that really transformed. You were saying you actually experienced joy for the first time. And then how did it progress from there, David?
It was like my heart had been like this white linen cloth, and it had been immersed for so long in black India ink. And then each day that I was meditating, it was like draping that cloth through like a rushing stream and just cleansing it and cleansing it and cleansing it. And honestly, it took like 3 days for me to have this epiphany. And then, of course, I do what most people do when you hang out with Deepak Chopra. I headed to the U.S. Embassy and got a visa to go to India. And as soon as that retreat was done, headed off on my little eat, pray, love journey to India without the eating and the love. I was still in serious healing mode. And so headed off to India in search of the guru, searched high and low, went into the Himalayas to visit His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. He wasn't there that day. Then I left there and went someplace else, and I bathed in the Ganges and prayed and meditated and practiced yoga and visited the temples and did like all the stuff. And then I was laying in this hammock in a cashew forest in Kerala, way south India, and I was reading the Bhagavad Gita. Happened to have a couple of tons of them around here. This ancient Indian text. Einstein read it every day. Thoreau read it every day. Emerson read it every day. Gandhi read it every day. So I was reading it, and I probably had read it a whole bunch of times, but message, messenger, timing. In that moment, as I'm hanging in this hammock, this is like 5.5 months I'm traveling India. I only have a 6-month visa. So I'm gonna have to leave in like 2 weeks. I suddenly read this line. It's chapter 2, verse 48, and it begins with Yogastha Kuru Karmani. Yogastha Kuru Karmani. Establish yourself in the present moment and then perform action. And I don't know why that line hit me in that moment, but I was like, yes, that's the answer to everything. And so I raced to the bus stop. I sat there for like 20 hours. I raced there, but the bus didn't come for 20 hours. Then it took me 3 days to get to the airport. Then I sat in the airport for like another 20 hours. Then once I got on my flight, another 20 hours. So I, quote, raced home. But once I got home, I was like, that's it. let me meditate. Let me meditate. I found the answer to everything. And I just kept meditating and meditating every single day. And ultimately, a bunch of friends of mine came over to do an intervention on me. They were like, dude, all you do is sit around and meditate.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, David's lost his mind,
Bearing in mind he was a bond trader.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. At the time, just so you know, prior to that moment in Southern Manhattan, I was a mergers and acquisitions advisor.
It's
working on the
Yeah.
82nd floor.
Which is so interesting hearing that.
Right? So my friends come over, they have this intervention with me, and they say, listen, dude, you're the one who said establish yourself in the present moment and then perform action. You're doing the present moment thing, but you're not performing any action. You're just sitting. They said, your friend Deepak, got a center out in California. Go there and learn to teach people to meditate. And I said, I'm from New York. I don't care about anyone else's meditation.
That is so good.
So typical New Yorker, right?
I love it. I love it.
And then they said, well, okay, forget the altruistic part of it, but if you really want to learn something, learn to teach it. And I was like,
Put
again,
into
I'm
practice.
fairly obedient. And I was like, okay, headed out there. And amazingly, I went to this second part of the teacher training, because the first part happened to be, I didn't know it, that event that I went to in Oxford, England. And then suddenly I'm going to this other webinar, this other workshop. And at that workshop, everybody goes around and says what they do. And like, they're going around, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And I'm like, actually, I don't do anything, but I sit around and meditate. And oh, by the way, I did used to help companies turn around and thrive. And so Deepak and David, his partner, and the CFO approached me like the next day and said, hey, we're looking for a new COO. Would you want to do that? And I was like, done.
So you're using both sides of the brain here.
Isn't it incredible how those things merge? And we've heard that in so many different people's stories too, when, part of their life, like it was when we were saying with Kate Bell, who was a model too, who was modelling, but her passion was yoga. And next minute she gets this big gig in yoga for a modelling thing. And it's sort of like now for you using like a bit of your skills from your past life in with your new passion and it merges together. Wowza.
Right. So suddenly I'm using these skills, but for a spiritual organization that teaches people to heal, to balance, heal, and transform. And I was like, I found it. I found my calling. So I started off as the COO. Then I became the lead educator because I was living this stuff every single day. And then they appointed me to be the dean of the university. And so that's where I really started training and certifying people to become meditation teachers.
Wow. Dave, can I just stop you there? You're coming in and out. The light is it's actually quite remarkable. You're in the dark, then you're in the light. Is it possible to stay forward a little bit more?
Because we'll cut this part. Or is there actually a light that you can put on in your
this is
in the room?
Light, and the sun is like moving through this place.
See, now you're in the dark. If you stay forward. If you stay,
is there a light in the actual room that you might be able to turn on? That might, because we just can't really. Would you mind just trying that, if you don't mind? Sorry, David,
because he actually goes all together in the dark. But I do love the way how he comes into the light and it's like because he gives light.
I know,
but I just thought I'd stop it.
I think that was good because that's better because we can. Yeah, I know. And also we do need to get a photo too. And before we're going to go, I'm just going to take a quick little photo because we're going to have a little break here of seeing if we can get all of us on. Thank you.
So I think take it up just your experience at the Chopra Centre. I think that was absolutely bloody fascinating. Now we can see you. That's beautiful.
That's good. Yeah, thank you for that.
The interesting thing was, as brilliant as Deepak Chopra and his partner, Dr. David Simon, brilliant neurologist, they didn't really want to teach meditation. They were like, we're going to teach. Deepak's like, let me teach quantum physics and metaphysics and all this other stuff. And David Simon was like, let me teach healing the heart. And you could teach meditation. And I was like, I'll do that. I'll take that. And so I spent the next decade traveling the world with them. And everywhere they went, I was the person who taught the groups to meditate. And even at the Chopra Centre, having all these events. So I was teaching meditation virtually every day for 10 years.
Wow.
And that just allowed me to hear feedback from people, what gets in your way, what blocks you, what's the challenge, those types of things. So
can I ask also really just a basic question here of like when sort of someone listening still might go, you know what, I don't know about meditation. Like really, what's sort of like, what is it and what are the benefits of meditation? Because you've got sort of some people here who go...
It's just a tool, all right? So that's number one. It's not a religion. It's not a philosophy. No. It's just a tool. There's probably 5 main ways or core ways that we can meditate. We could watch our breath, right? They call that mindfulness mostly. Just watch your breath as it comes in and out. And when you drift away, which of course you will, hopefully, drifting is good. Just so you know, those thoughts we were talking about,
Good.
If you're having thoughts, it means you're alive. No thoughts, flatlining. So we would always choose
I
thoughts.
like that. That's a good way of thinking of it too. Yeah,
So
you can't get rid of the thoughts.
Thoughts are okay. But, let's look at that. So we could watch our breath. We could repeat a mantra, which is, or as you would say in Aussie land, a mantra. Yeah. This is the repetition of anything that comforts you. It could be mother, it could be Sanskrit, it could be Jesus is my Lord and Savior, it can be I like chocolate, it can be anything. It can be peace, it can be I accept, it could be I forgive. You pick your mantra. So that's another technique. It could be a body scan, that's the third type, right? Any type of scanning of the body. It could be a guided visualization where someone guides you on some journey, you close your eyes and go to that place. Or it can be some type of embodiment, some type of thing where you're breathing in or holding yourself or touching you. So those are really the 5 things. And if anyone listening right now, if you say, oh, I've tried it and it doesn't work for me, I believe it just wasn't the right technique. Again, messenger timing. So there's so many different types of techniques and so many thousands of different types of meditations. That would be the perfect thing for anyone to explore right now.
It's interesting in this adrenaline driven and a lot of people are addicted to that dopamine hit. I mean, it's and with of course technology in our world today, it's a lot of people push something like meditation away because it's so foreign to them. And I imagine there's a lot of people listening now that are like, nah, no time, I'm not into that, I mean, to me, meditation is the greatest gift in this cray-cray 21st century. What would you say to someone that's thinking that right now? Not for me, impossible, I could never do that.
Well, I'm from New York, so my initial response would be something like, oh, so you're choosing the mediocre life? But that's not really what it is. If we come down to, I would just say, let's start small. Let's try something right now with the 3 of us and everybody who's watching and listening.
I would love to.
So think about something that has been bothering you or irritating you just for the past couple of days. Something was supposed to happen, it didn't, or someone was supposed to do something, it didn't show up like that, or something external happened you weren't expecting. Don't go too deep. This isn't therapy. So just some kind of irritation. And now close your eyes and through your nose, take a long, slow, deep breath in. When your breath gets to your belly, hold it there and watch it. Witness it as it sits in your belly. And now release that breath and watch it move up your chest, through your throat, out through your nose or mouth. Just allow the breath to keep going out. Keep watching it. Keep observing it as it dissipates into the ether. And now breathe normally and open your eyes. So that was about 16 seconds. In those 16 seconds, if you were playing along, and you two were definitely playing along, I'd love that. Yeah. You weren't thinking about that thing that I just asked you to think about.
That's so true.
Right?
So breathing.
So I never said, stop thinking about it. I just said, very, very gently, close your eyes and watch your breath. So in 16 seconds, you were able to transport yourself out of the past into the present moment. You are not in the future. You are fully present. And that's pretty spectacular.
Well, so everybody try that again. That is such a great thing, because I got, like to know how you felt, Di, but I certainly... I did. I actually sort of then felt my shoulders kind of dropped, and I felt really relaxed, and I didn't realize that was 16 seconds.
Yeah,
how did
beautiful
you feel,
is that?
Yeah,
so that
beautiful.
could be the start of anyone's meditation practice.
Wow.
Anyone can start. And if you do it 4 times, it's a minute.
So
how important?
It's 5 minutes.
How important is breathing to meditation? This is something that in my brain, my Capricorn brain, is separating the two. Do you know what I'm saying? You go to do breath work and you do meditation. This is my brain. Yet they're united.
We're all one, Di.
Yes. Again, it's a question of what's the technique that you want to do. But we know we can regulate our nervous system. And this is what the whole conversation is about. We can. A lot of people don't meditate because they say, oh, it's woo-woo, or it's kooky, or it's not really for me, or when you're going to pull the angel card, like all the other kinds. And I have taught so many CEOs and so many creatives and so many artists and dancers and musicians to just be the calm amidst the chaos. Because everyone's got some kind of chaos or kookiness in their life or outside of their life. It all depends on, what's going on. So there's a science behind this. Here's another very, very cool technique. So anybody here ever have panic attacks?
Yeah.
Or anyone here ever have like surges of anxiety?
I think everyone's experienced that. And I used to work for the airlines, David. You'd get a lot of people who would have panic attacks because they wouldn't have the control on you'd be on a big plane and it's about to take off, and you'd see people.
So here's a great technique for everyone to use. Yeah. I call it fill her up, top it off. But you could call it whatever you like.
I love your names.
There's this thing resting in our heart. It's called next to our heart. It's called the sinoatrial node. And it's actually our pacemaker, our internal pacemaker. When we get nervous, it speeds up. And when we get relaxed or feel safe, it slows down and sends a message to the brain. All is well here. Classic Louise Hay line, all is well in my world. So
I love it.
This is like this powerful thing, no matter what. So what we're going to do is through our nose, we'll breathe in and fill our lungs about 3/4. And then instead of exhaling, then we'll breathe in again to fill them to overflowing. And then we'll exhale out of our mouth. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's do it 3 times.
Okay.
So everyone play along with us. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Again. Again, in through the nose, fill like 3/4, and then fill her up, top it off, and then release, and then one final time. In again, top it off, and out. So that sends this powerful message to the sinoatrial node. Who knew that? Like, wow, guess what? Cool and amazing stuff is happening. We're safe. All is well in my world. And the message that the brain sends, we can slow everything down now because there's no threats.
Wow.
You could do that if someone cuts you off on the road. You could do that if you're it's hard to do it at a dinner table, everyone staring at you. It's easy to do it on the phone though. So.
Well, I'm just loving this, and I think for all our listeners too, they're really simple reminders, because we all get, as you're sort of saying, Di, in this fast-paced world, and whether we're addicted to their phones or adrenaline and doing all those things, to actually stop. You don't have to sort of go to a jungle or do something really crazy. You can actually just do a couple of
the lotus position.
This is the message I want to send to all of everyone from Over the Back Fence universe. You don't have to blow up your life and go to India. I've done that already for you. So you don't
love that.
You don't need to do that.
Reconnaissance.
I did it, sacrificed that. I needed that, but no one else needs that. And so, no, we can just carve out these little moments. And I believe in theming things. I believe in theming our months. So I'm big on coming up with a theme for the whole month. For example, where's my theme list? Here are the themes I used last year. Physical health and diet. So no bread, no alcohol, no dairy, and no sugar for a month. It was extreme. That was pretty intense that month. Patience was another month. Forgiveness was another month. Rest and rejuvenation. sparking connection, travel, saying yes to every single thing, saying no to every single thing. Those are different months. Being in service, support to people no matter what's going on. How can I serve? How can I serve? How can I help? Gratitude was another one. So I'm big on themes, and I distill it down even further. I'm big on living intentionally, living an intentional life. I think that's, the most important thing that we can do, a purpose-driven life. You guys are living it. You are living the over the back fence, purpose-driven life. And you're touching so many millions of people because of that. And so not everyone is on that path because they haven't given themselves permission yet. But if you can start by setting an intention with every day, just like typing an address into your GPS, you don't have to go there, but it'll remind you if you go off course. And so this is this beautiful teaching that we can do. And if you can take your intention setting and a gratitude practice and maybe prayer, if you do that thing, and weave that into your morning meditation, then you start your day before you've seen anyone or touched anything. Suddenly you've got some gratitude, you've got a little stabilization, you have regulated your nervous system and done that. And you don't have to, you could even do it in bed. I call it meditation. Especially for anyone watching right now, if you tap your snooze button when the alarm goes off, slide your tush up to the headboard, and then just meditate, even if you just watch your breath, or even if you just do a gratitude practice. Pick your technique, and then in 10 minutes, your meditation timer goes off, and then you leave the bed before your feet even hit the ground. You're in this magnificent space. So
just a quick word of advice for the listeners. If you're like me and you're meditating, can you just a tiny bit of advice if the thought gremlins are entering your meditation? Is there any sort of quick technique, like you're giving us all these wonderful techniques, to actually move them on? Someone said something about place them on a cloud, let the cloud blow away or whatever. Is there anything you can recommend when those gremlins enter the mind?
Yes. So why did, you refer to them as the thought gremlins. So why do the thought gremlins bother us? Because we're resisting it. If instead we said, oh, a thought gremlin visiting here. I know you're coming in, I know you're going out. And then we don't do anything with it. So if we can allow thoughts to come and go like clouds, let it come in.
Wow. It's like your favourite saying, what we resist persists.
Yes.
So you let it come, and I love it when you're saying that, Dave, because it's like it's coming, but then you can visualise it going as well, like the clouds. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So
because surrender's a big thing for you, isn't it, David?
I'm sorry?
Surrender. Is it like surrender to those
It's not
thoughts?
just a big thing for me. It's probably the biggest thing for me.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Because even going back to the time of the Buddha, what's the cause of suffering? It's all our clinging and resisting. So if we can just give ourselves permission to be like, you know what? Let's just allow it all. Let's accept whatever's coming in, whatever's going out. So like I said, we're going to have thoughts. Doing this isn't going to stop your thoughts. They're still coming. They're coming no matter what. Yeah. So as we're having this conversation, there are probably a whole bunch of thoughts that if we weren't having the conversation, that would have landed on all three of us and everybody listening and watching. But we were engaged. So where attention goes, energy flows. And so if we can just say, oh, I'm not going to resist it. Thoughts are going to come. Some people have said, as the thought comes in, say to yourself, oh, it's a thought, or thinking. And then let it come, let it go. And then when you realize, oh, I'm no longer watching my breath or repeating a mantra or doing whatever the thing is, let me ever so gently drift back to the object of my attention.
Well, it's a bit like Mel Robbins, who's now got the biggest book in the world, like Let Them. It's kind of sort of a similar sort of thing. What you're sort of saying is
well, don't apply it to people, apply it to thoughts.
Yes, apply it to thoughts.
So don't fight it. Don't fight it. Just let them.
Yeah.
David, you see, a lot of things, and I love, I actually just listened to your latest book, and also I love it how you use different quotes, and some of the ones here that I really like is the Rumi quote too: "The beauty you see in me is a reflection of you." And also, if you're always trying to be normal, you'll never know how amazing you can be. The Maya Angelou one. Can you elaborate on any of these or your favourite quotes?
Right. Well, most of us are trapped in either regret or grievance or self-loathing or woulda, coulda, shoulda. And that's why meditation is so powerful, because it's the only thing that's going to bring us into the present moment. Otherwise, we could sit in the present moment for a millisecond and go, oh, that reminds me of, now we're in the past. Or we'll be in the present moment saying, but what if that happens? And then we're in the future. And if we can cultivate, you mentioned the dopamine hits, if we can cultivate the opposite of dopamine hits, which is us allowing the nervous system to regulate, allowing our prefrontal cortex to grow and allow all of those wires to suddenly grow inside of us. That's our executive decision-making part of our brain. That's all the choices that we do. So I'll ask our audience here today, anybody here make a choice that you might be regretting in the last week? Anybody do make any decision in the last week? They're like, oh, and, extrapolate that, go back a few more weeks and a month and whatever, there's a whole bunch of choices that we've made that weren't necessarily the best ones. If you meditate, you increase the gray matter in your prefrontal cortex, which is your choice-making center of the brain. So if you cultivate that, there's a higher likelihood you're going to make better decisions, more thoughtful decisions, more mindful choices.
What about time frame? I think a lot of people talk meditation. Well, I haven't got an hour. I haven't got 2 hours. I mean, can you gain something from a 5-minute meditation, David?
Absolutely.
My 16 seconds.
Yeah, that was breathing. But for those listening, I haven't got the time.
My philosophy is whatever works. Whatever works. I'm into dogs, not dogma.
Yeah, Peaches. I was going to say, how is Peaches?
I love not dogma. I love what you just said.
Is Peaches around?
Not dogma.
No, she's sleeping.
Because it's funny, where we record here,
That's David's dog, by the way.
Yeah, in our studio. We love it.
There's princess. She
there's
just
a couple
turned
of dogs
17
here.
last week.
I love that, because I do follow you a lot, and Peaches I know is a big part of your life.
So I do want to do a shameless public service announcement. Adopt your next pet.
Do it.
Do it. I saw a great thing on Netflix. It was like watching all these various dogs around Australia being trained by somebody and then being released to, they're all cattle dogs of some sort. And anyway.
But animal energy, actually, I was going to ask you about that too, David, is really important as well, isn't it?
Oh, God, yes.
And why is that?
Energy's real. Energy's real. Yeah. Einstein said it. So energy is real. It's real in humans. It's real in animals. Our interactions with our environment and all the people and all the beings really does make a difference. So I would like to, here's a kooky thing that I'll suggest to everyone right now. Take your device and send a text to someone in your scroll. Someone, maybe you have an argument with them, maybe you're just loving on them. Send them a text right now that says, thinking of you and sending love. Thinking of you and sending love. Don't do this to your employee. I live in California. If you do that in California, it's like a $10 million.
Wow. He's had too much weed.
Send it to us back fences as well. You know what? That's a bit like Gus Wall, and we had that.
I'm just thinking of Gus.
This is a guy in Australia, Davidji, who's really into with Are You Okay and mental health, whatever. And he actually uses the thing there of also getting your phone and sending a text to sort of somebody and reaching out, and just the benefits of that.
And he often he's a big, footballers, big blokey guys. He goes, I love you.
And
like some of them either, oh wow, that was beautiful. Whoa, and he doesn't care.
No.
He says, I love you. Just a simple text, I love you.
Right.
That's
it. And a lot of times you get back a response, who is this?
Who do you think you are?
What have you been doing? You're meditating.
Just grab it and run, literally. Yeah,
we love kooky, and also was saying too, we are all about connection, and we're also talking about the importance of friendship and loneliness as well. And we sort of know, and we sort of say, like, we had a big event not all that long ago, and we're just going how important it is to reach out to somebody. You don't need a million friends, but you do need to, just even more than the online person there, to reach out. And what are your thoughts on that as well, David?
Well, again, you quoted me as we began. I believe in the sacred power of your ripple, and a lot of people think, what difference could I make? You just smiling at the person who checked you out in the supermarket. You could set their day on a whole new trajectory and change their life.
It's true.
You actually waving someone in front of your car, when they're trying to cut in, could be so profound.
It's true.
It's these little acts, it's these teeny little acts that we do. The occasional thank you, the holding the door, the smile. These are the sending of the text, thinking of you and sending love. These are the type of things that can make such an important difference in somebody's life. And we just think it won't matter. It won't matter. But all these little things have created the entire fabric of our existence. So they all matter.
You know what? Aren't they beautiful reminders, Di?
Do you know? A couple of weeks ago, I let a van in. Like he was trying to. No one was letting him. Oh yeah, come on, you're fine. And do you know what he did? He put his emergency lights on. In America, you've got the two lights going, and it was a thank you.
Oh,
and I know
lovely.
it sounds ridiculous, but that stayed with me for weeks. And I shared that with so many people, and it made my whole trip home, because it was really bumper to bumper traffic. It made me so happy. Such a tiny little thing. He pressed a button in his car and flicked it off. Wow. But it was the emergency lights.
Simple acknowledgement, isn't it? And I think it's a reminder of sometimes tiny little moments of kindness can go a long way, and being kind. And also the other thing too, I know that who's a big fan of yours, and I think it's vice versa, and we're certainly fans, and we've had her on our podcast, is Terry Cole.
Oh, yes.
And
isn't she great? We love her. And she's, I think, the boundary boss. But and I know that she uses you as sort of like her sort of meditation guru as well. What are some of your views on sort of boundaries as well, David?
Well, before we jump into boundaries, I just want to talk about this one concept. I refer to it as the 4 needs of the heart.
Oh, okay.
The 4 needs of the heart. Also referred to sometimes as the 4 A's. Attention, everybody needs to be seen or wants to be seen. Affection, everybody wants to be seen with a little bit of kindness as well. So maybe that's a smile, maybe that's a wink, maybe that's a hug, maybe that's just a pat on the back. It can be anything, you figure out what that means to you. But just being seen with kindness, that's affection. Then appreciation. Everybody we need it, we crave it. It's actually a need. We need someone to say, nice job, you're doing a good job. That was amazing. And the 4th is acceptance. Everybody wants to be part of something bigger than them. It's a validation of our existence. And so it's so fascinating the way that whole thing really works. Attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. And we're not always getting it from the outside world. I'm guessing not everyone here woke up and the person laying next to them, even if it was your dog, suddenly said, you're beautiful, you're doing a great job, and I love you. That probably did not happen to anybody here today. So if we can just get in the habit of really recognizing it, it is a need, and that's sometimes why we're sad or why we're down. We could always ask ourselves, what need of mine is not being met of those 4 needs? And then meet it yourself. Meet it yourself. Look in the mirror and say, you're amazing. You're freaking awesome. You're spectacular.
Self-love.
Amazing's an A.
Yeah, I love that the 4 A's and self-love is one of those things. And I really like you saying that too, give it to yourself, because a lot of times too, when people are outsourcing that from having to hear that from somebody else, ultimately we kind of know everything has to come from within.
Here's something that I would suggest to everyone. Record that. Record on your phone something that says, you're beautiful, you're doing a great job, and I love you. And then when you get in an elevator, it's great. It works great in elevators. Crank your phone on maximum volume and then tap that. And then you'll just be standing in the elevator, and suddenly this voice is going to say, you're beautiful, you're doing a great job, and I love you. And watch the energy shift in like a second. Why don't you two say it to each other? Okay.
You're beautiful. You're absolutely.
And I love you. And I appreciate you.
I think we say that anyway.
Do you know what? I love hearing that, and we do. We are sort of big sort of supporters of that. But I think we can hear it again and again, and
positive
I love it.
Affirmation.
You'll laugh because Di's phone somehow does go off randomly, so I think I can see that sort of thing in a lift there, and sort of like her phone going off and stuff. I love you or whatever. So thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Those 4 A's are going to stay with it, and we're going to really highlight that.
There's one I love is that I wrote years ago. It's called Rain. recognize, awareness, investigate, then nurture.
It's brilliant. It's great.
I mean, you got to let that
exactly.
sit.
I think you should do one
I
with
often
sun.
say rain to myself. I go, okay, let's do the rain.
Yeah,
let's
you're
do the
good
rain.
with your different. Di does do that with ones. So back. I was just going to say anything back with Terry Cole, because I know that she's. I had to say, because I know she has you as a regular guest quite often, and she talks about you, and so do we.
Yeah. Well, Terry is the boundary boss. She is.
Is there room for that in meditation or in life, or what we need to do, incorporating that?
And one of the most important things that I learned from Terry a bunch of years ago, maybe it was even before she wrote Boundary Boss, was there's no statute of limitations on setting a boundary. So if you have allowed behavior that you really think you shouldn't have, and now's the moment where you can go back and say, I just wanted to express, here's a need that I have, and the person's going to say, but you've let me call you idiot for the last 10 years. And you can say, yeah, but it never really felt great. So I just wanted to go on the record now, and maybe you could stop saying that to me. And so Terry gave me permission to go back to every single thing that I had created and reinforced in other people. And if I didn't think it was nourishing or positive, I went back to correct that.
Wow, that's pretty powerful, isn't it?
It really is powerful, because so many times we say, ooh, it's been too long. I really can't say anything. But it doesn't matter when it is or how it happened under any circumstances. So that's
interesting, and I think it's also in the way that you say it as well. Remember, that was sort of like things that we'd kind of learnt too, is that you can express yourself and something like that, and it doesn't have to be in a rude way. It doesn't have to be in a demanding way.
Remember?
You did. Thinking you're going to come across bossy.
Yeah, David, I said to Nicola, I said, boundaries to me is very harsh, and yet I've turned it all a full 360 and gone, it's actually being kind to self.
Yes.
And you can say it in a loving, kind way.
And that's like, also, if you have dogs, I'm such a huge fan of animals, but, we train the domestic animals we have, out of love, because otherwise they're just going to be, who knows, doing everything anywhere under any circumstance, biting people and pooping all over the place and whatever. So like we train them to be better, and dogs are thankful. Like, thank you for training me so I could be a better version. The people in your life also want to be trained, because we have trained them subliminally.
It's a beautiful way of saying it. You've got such a great way. No wonder you're so sort of popular. And you know what, for listeners too, there's so many ways you can sort of listen to David too. And you're a very giving person. You do a lot of free meditations. You can Google you and
Google.
And just lately too. And I have been listening to you, knowing that you are coming on the podcast as well at night time. I've been putting you on, and
that's
and
concerning.
I've got to say, but I have to say,
life size.
You put me to sleep straight away.
Oh, well, that's good.
I have been purring, like a cat.
In my profession, I'm really never looking for a standing ovation. If at the end of my session everyone's unconscious with their tongue hanging out of their mouth, then I tiptoe out of the room and I've done my job.
Actually, that's amazing.
Some people say to me, I go to bed with you every night and wake up with my boyfriend.
It's true. Yeah, you've been my bed partner lately.
On that note, you've taught literally thousands and thousands of students over the years. Is there any particular meditation stories that stand out that you'd love to share with some of our listeners? Profound moments for some of them.
Weird ones or
I love weird ones,
yeah, we like
but
them
anything really that would be of interest for people that honestly meditation has taken them to a whole nother level, which they didn't even realize what happened.
Well, one of the things I like to do is to teach people their personal mantra. And usually that's based on where the stars and the moon were at the moment they were born. And, there's a whole calculation to do that. It's called the birth star mantra. And so when I was at the Chopra Centre, people would come in and we would teach them their personal mantra on the very, very first day. And it's like a 10-minute ceremony. You guide them into this thing, you get them really quiet, and then you share their mantra, and then you sit and meditate for like a minute or two. So I had just taught like 10 people their mantras, and I was teaching this person, and close your eyes. And I said, oh, I'm going to use the mantra that I just gave them. And I start to use it, and I start to use it. And suddenly they tap me on the knee and they go, should I keep meditating? And I suddenly look at the clock, and it's been 45 minutes. And I was so deep in meditation. I left this brand new meditator alone, probably staring at me for like 45 minutes. I was like, no, I think we're good now.
That's great.
I think we locked it in. So, but
Walk
yes,
the talk.
There's all sorts of kooky things, from levitation to astral projection. Certainly on the kooky.
Tell me about the levitation.
Yeah. And
I'm
cosmic
intrigued.
radiant light.
I want to know about levitation.
Yeah,
you use that word a lot.
I do.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
If you can get into such a deep space, so deeply beyond the concept of gravity, right? Because that's a thought, that's an understanding. Like no one grew up knowing about gravity, but the first time you picked up a ball and it fell to the earth, you sort of like kind of learned it. But if you can get into the depth of that, you could pop up. Of course, the second you realize you're popping up, which is impossible, you come right back down. But that's something that I haven't really practiced that in over a decade, because it seemed like a parlor trick to me,
Mm-hmm.
But like, you've literally been levitating.
I have levitated, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've got to say that is one of Di's favourite words. If I've ever gone a bit manic or something, she'll say, Nicola, you're levitating.
I love that. Well, now you know.
But that could be a good thing
exactly. So, wow, I'm going to say, yeah. And Davidji goes, it's cool.
I'll do more of it.
And tell us, what's cosmic radiant light? And,
and what
does
that kind
of...
the whole lexicon for this.
I know. What does that mean in simple terms?
Listen, I do just want to stress to everyone here, I love the kook and I love the woo and I love the dolphin, mermaid, angel card, kind of oracle card stuff. But I also love to teach people who are totally secular and mainstream because they're feeling stressed out. Maybe they're a caregiver for a parent that you never thought you'd do that. Maybe they're having some issues with a colleague at work. Maybe there's an estranged, loving relationship in your life. Maybe suddenly you just, made a bad investment or something along those lines. Maybe you just got a diagnosis. Maybe you just got divorced. There's so many things that we don't have to lean on necessarily the kook factor. We can just learn to breathe. And when COVID came a few years ago, I said, are we going to hold our breath until this thing's over, or are we going to learn to breathe through it the whole time? And we could look at any problem in our life with that same kind of mindset. Let me just breathe through this. Let me breathe through it. And, King Solomon, the classic line of King Solomon, this too shall pass. So even when we're in the middle of the stuff and it feels just so horrible, just reminding ourselves, let me breathe right now. This too shall pass, because it's going to, whether I'm worrying or not, whatever's going to unfold is going to unfold.
Can I just cut in there? Because I remember I was listening to one of your podcasts a few weeks ago, and you were teaching cops in the US. One of the lines was teaching them to breathe before they pull the trigger. Now, I found that remarkable. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I have spent just celebrated 11 years teaching law enforcement. I've taught members of the military. I've taught Dutch Special Forces and the Irish Garda and a lot of different groups, and Marines in Camp Pendleton, which is here. But I started teaching law enforcement at a time in the United States where people were not favorable of law enforcement. They were doing that defund the police kind of thing. And my philosophy was like, let's help them heal. Let's get them better. I'm willing to spend, I got a lot of hate from it. Like, why are you participating in helping these horrible people? And I'm like, they're not horrible people. They're trying to do good work, but they don't have the tools to regulate their own nervous systems, and they're making a lot of bad mistakes, either grabbing people and arresting people or shooting people, like all that. So I said, if I could teach these people to breathe before they reach for a sidearm, then they'll make a more conscious choice. Ultimately, again, it's that prefrontal cortex. So it was the Department of Justice in the United States that reached out to me and said, would you want to work with this particular group of police? And then now I've worked with so many different cops in so many different, cities around the world. And I believe that this goes back to, if there's someone in your life and you're not digging it and you have an issue with them, don't you want them to heal? Or would you rather them stay exactly the way they are and then you complain about them every single day of your life? So you have a choice. If you can help them heal, then maybe they don't irritate you so much and don't bother you so much, and you won't be thinking about them and venting about them. And so my philosophy really has been, let me help the people who are hurting. Let me help people who I believe are emotionally wounded. And it doesn't matter who they are or what their profession is or how old they are or their race, their gender. It doesn't matter to me. If we can just keep, that's the power of our ripple. If we can just keep taking breaths when we otherwise would be sending out negative energy, then perhaps that world, I think my philosophy is think globally, but you have to act locally. How local? Your own heart.
Wow, your own heart.
Before you pull the trigger is huge, though. Like to take a deep breath.
It certainly is, and how I'm sure that was just received so well. It's a bit like us about that simple thing of conversation, or like if you can't talk to the person at your back fence, sometimes it starts with that, like the person right next to you, and that ripple effect that goes all the way through.
So true.
And you're certainly a kind man, and I'm sure that certainly helped a lot of people. And how receptive and what a wonderful thing.
You know what we love about David? You and I talked about is just you weave fun into your work.
Yeah, you're cheeky and fun.
Because we're all about F-U-N.
F-U-double-N.
To a
for
T.
Nicola.
Until the day I die, I'll probably do it in my casket.
You've got to be silly.
So I'm being lowered down, I'll be going, don't forget to have fun.
Yeah.
And I love that because I think a lot of people think meditation, they go, oh, that's a bit heavy.
You have to be really serious.
Yeah, exactly.
Or us, as you age, we're about kicking ass as we age too. It's sort of like then, keep on having fun, keep on. And also, you know what I love too? So many things. You say you're a student of life. It's one of my favourite sayings because I feel I'm a student of life to the day I die, to my last breath.
Yeah.
And I just sort of think it is, but you're fun.
Yeah, it's important.
Well, I think this type of thing that I love teaching, remember, it's just a tool that I love teaching and sharing with the world. If you approach it so seriously, then people are like, I'm not doing it right. I must be doing it. I must be closing my eyes and breathing wrong, and there's no wrong. And when you say to someone, okay, now sit, and rigid spine, like, ooh, you don't need to do a rigid spine. My philosophy is comfort is queen. So, my philosophy is let's make it as easy as possible, the lowest barrier to entry for anyone, just to breathe, just to relax, just to surrender, just to slide over into the passenger seat and let the universe do the driving, just something along those lines. People say to me, I'm looking for a serious relationship. And I'm like, why would you want a serious relationship?
My next relationship is, what I'm putting out to the universe too, because I'm currently single, is I want someone to make me laugh.
Yeah.
Right.
Fun. Don't you?
Fun. So I'm putting it out there, but you know what? We're going to have to sort of wrap it up because we could talk to you forever. And there's so many lessons, let alone the 4 A's. But, so those simple tools, are there any last minute sort of words of your wisdom you want to sort of share to our Aussie backfence listeners and listeners really from all around the world?
Yes, a few things that I would like to share. One, if you can breathe, you can meditate. Number 1. Number 2, there's no such thing as a bad meditation. Number 3, if you miss your regularly scheduled meditation, don't beat yourself up. Just don't miss the next one. And allow this thing to be just like brushing your teeth. If we can ritualize it and really make it a part of who we are, I doubt people are brushing their teeth going, oh my God, that was the most amazing incisor rub that I ever gave myself. So
that is so cool.
I love him.
So it's not meant to be like an entertaining movie. It's a practice. It's a tool that helps us show up a little bit better. And my one final mic drop line is, we transform the world by transforming ourselves. So I know there's all this stuff we're pointing out there that, that shouldn't be like that, and that's horrible, and all this other stuff. how about we transform ourselves and be a little kinder, a little more compassionate, a little more forgiving, a little more loving, just to ourselves, and the world outside of us will shift.
Oh, bravo. I want to hear that again and again. It's that self-love, which is just sort of like number one. And, well, thank you so much. We've got a couple of you are a gift. We've got a couple of our signature questions. Did you want to go first, Artie?
Oh, I can't wait to hear what he says to this one. Simple as, what makes you happy?
Oh, well, I'll tell you something really funny. I'm actually in the Happiness Hall of Fame. It's a thing.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of people in it. It's not like it's 5 people and I'm one of them.
I love it.
There are hundreds of them.
Where's that?
It's up in Northern California.
Let's do a trip there, Darty.
I love
that.
I think it's in Stanford. And I was teaching at this event, and suddenly this guy showed up at this event with like this special, thing. What didn't look like a Grammy or an Oscar, but it's clear glass. And he was like, "You've been inducted into the Happiness Hall of Fame," and I was like,
"How cool!
That's the ultimate."
I didn't have a speech. So, what makes me happy? I have very, very specific sacred values. I've written about them a lot. They're in a couple of my books that I talk about that, and really, what makes me happy is seeing other people happy. It's actually this ancient Sanskrit word. It's called mudita. Mudita. It means empathetic joy. And so when I see somebody happy, I don't know, it just lifts me up, just fills me.
Wow.
You know how a laugh is infectious?
Yes.
When I hear someone laugh, I start laughing. Yeah. I can't help it.
Contagious.
Yeah,
good vibes all around.
Yeah. What's the next one?
If you could share a back fence, Davidji, with anybody on planet Earth, who would it be and why?
Well, my original thought is, John Legend, because if I'm having a neighbor, I don't want them to be banging drums all day. But he's got that silky voice and the beautiful.
He's gorgeous, beautiful.
Like, I would love to hear that coming over my back fence, but probably my dad. My dad lives. I'm in California. He's in Florida. We're 3,000 miles away. I don't see him a lot. We talk every day. And we had an estranged relationship for a bunch of years, and now we're best friends.
Love it.
So that's really special.
Love it.
So if I could share a back fence with him.
How old's Dad, David?
I just look at you guys and how interwoven your hearts are, because of your back fence kind of. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So perfect. So I guess my dad.
Wow. How old's Dad, David? How old is Dad?
Dad is 98.
Wow, that's amazing, and I love it.
Time to go and see him.
That's another podcast in itself, because I would like to hear that whole story, because I like to know the ins and outs of things. But also,
what's our next one?
And also, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
What advice would I give?
Would you give to your 20-year-old self, David, if you could go back in time?
If you could go back, yeah.
Don't drop that meditation class.
Interesting.
That's cool.
No, I don't know, but there would be that. Would probably be like, don't worry, it's all good. Don't worry,
be happy.
In the end, it all turns out okay.
Wow. Just breathe. Well,
breathe through it.
Thank you so much for coming on. And
you're a gift to the world.
You certainly are. There's just those simple sort of tools and reminders. And, so thank you for coming to our
big hug. I feel like I've had a big hug.
Yeah, Di always says it's like a big hug. And this is like one big hug. I couldn't agree with you anymore. So, we'll have all David's information on our show notes with your books and all the ways that we can find you as well. So don't forget to rate and review. Don't forget to also, we're on YouTube, so you can watch us and watch us, which is a really good thing. So don't forget to rate us. And Di has her own rating systems, David. Now, because we like the 5 stars, we encourage people to do the ratings. What do you think? We've got David all the way from the USA at our back fence.
You know what it has to be, because he's so universally inclined. It has to be infinity out of 5.
Infinity stars you get.
Infinity out of 5. That's the rating.
Whoa, you win.
Bravo. I just want to hug you.
Hug you. Ciao, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll be back in your ears. Thank you so much. Wow.